Welcome back to Oulton Park for the second round of the GB3 Championship. It's a cold day. It's about 8 degrees Celsius, completely different conditions to Saturday, so it's going to be interesting to see how these cars react to that difference in temperature. The tyres are going to need a lot more warming up. Now, we saw an exciting race to start the championship on Saturday. Luke Browning in the high-tech winning by over 10 seconds, which is fairly impressive. Alex Walker in the GB4 car won by 9 seconds. We didn't think we'd see better than that. But Luke Browning knows his track off by heart. He's on pole position for this race coming up. But let's see first what happened on Saturday as Luke Browning storms to a first win and a lead in the Drivers' Championship.
As we get ready to go underway at Alton Park, there is a staller of Tom Levin in the background for the Elite Motorsports cars. He's got stationary, but look at Matthew Rees in that grey and orange highlighted car straight down the inside at Old Hall. Wasn't able to pick up that third position as they all start running wide. Some of the Douglas Motorsports cars just pushing it a little bit too far at Old Hall. Great start though from the local lad, but there's Elite Motorsports going side by side. A little bit of a move there from John Bennett getting down the inside of his teammate James Headley as they run down towards the island corner. Carlin going on the attack. Callum Voisin trying to actually hold off his teammate of Javier Segura in the highlighted, yellow highlighted car, the red highlighted car. There's contact between the teammates. Oh my goodness, they've gone off at Shell Oils. That is going to cause a massive drama. Contact between the teammates, as I believe Javier Segura was pushing out Callum Voisin on the departure of the Shell Oils corner. They're both going to have damage. I can tell you for sure Javier Segura is out of this race. That rear wheel was plucked straight off of his Carlin car, and that is him done. I think Callum Voisin somehow is still going in this race. I don't quite know how his car is in one piece. He'll go side by side now. There's more contact. Alex Connor has gone straight off because of that. A bit of contact between the Arden and the Carlin car. Right now, there's going to be a little bit of contact potentially as just locking up into the Shell Oils hairpin. Oh, as he runs wide, that's not very goat-worthy, as Tommy Smith's gone a little bit too wide the Shell Oils hairpin, and now the move is completed down into Britain's. Lovely bit of racing there from Bryce Aaron and Tommy Smith. Straight down the inside. That is a great move on Tommy Smith from Tom Levin. A lap of the race then for Luke Browning to do. Dominant fashion as he continues his run here at Oulton Park, and much like we saw in the GB4 Championship race just a little bit earlier on, if you caught that one, Alex Walker, who was dominant from start to finish in that race, basically drove around as if this track was his own. That's basically what Luke Browning's doing. The difference is, of course, Luke Browning is from Cheshire, and so this is essentially his track, his home circuit, the one that he loves so much, the one that he races so well around. Matthew Rees late to the apex there into Cascades, again closing it down into the island corner before we get down into Shell Oils. The issue is that every corner we go past is an opportunity gone. The only real opportunities left. If Faria makes a mistake going through Britain's, it opens up, of course, down into Hislops. The next chicane, the first chicane, this one is Britain's. The chicane that directly follows that one is Hislops, and then Knickerbrook is the right-hander as we start heading back up the hill. Those are the only real opportunities, but you can see Faria's absolutely nailed it once again, and so is keeping at bay. Mackenzie Cresswell bringing it over in the background. I wasn't too sure if he was under a bit of pressure from Joel Grandfors coming down into the Hislops chicane, but you can see the answer to that question is no. And then this is the next opportunity for them to overtake, and that one being Druitt and down into Lodge Corner. Somebody doesn't have to worry about his mirrors, doesn't have to worry about attacking. Luke Browning, British Formula 4 champion. He went abroad to go and race in Formula 4 in the ADAC Formula 4 series, in Italian Formula 4. He raced here in GB3 in 2021 once, and he races here again in 2022. And the opening round of the GP3 Championship goes to Luke Browning, absolutely in control here. Home circuit, home soil, home advantage as well. Roberto Faria comes across in second position with Matthew Rees in that third spot.
I'm here at Parc Fermé with the first winner of the first race of the GB3 Championship season. We mentioned before with Alex Walker in the GB4 that winning by 9 seconds was pretty unheard of. You, Luke Browning, won by over 10 seconds. You must be feeling pretty happy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the car felt absolutely phenomenal today. Engineer did a smashing job, and yeah, I was piecing laps together. It just felt, honestly, it felt easy in that car. So yeah, big thanks to High-Tech.
Now, you said before that just getting off the line well was all you needed, and that you managed to sort of keep everyone off. But did you expect to win by such a huge margin?
No, of course not. You know, it's a tight championship, and it's never easy to win at any level. So it just shows you just how much hard work we've put in over the winter.
And with this being your home track, obviously you've just won by 10 seconds. You're on pole for the first race. We have the second race of the championship on Monday. You must be feeling pretty confident about that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think keep your head level. First race in the season, so you know it's nice to have the points in the bag, but got to do it. So.
Faria, how was that race for you? You were a little bit behind there in the second, which seems crazy to say, but you drove a good race.
Yeah, we had a bit. We were a bit slow with few tires now, so I couldn't really keep with Brownie. I had to make a race with no mistakes because Reese was all the time behind me. So I just did the homework and bring home the second place.
There was a bit of action on track, a few collisions. Did you see much going on behind you, or was that sort of out of your focus?
Yeah, behind me, I saw the next lap that was yellow flag, and then had pieces in the middle of the track. Browning went over one and came in my helmet. I was a bit like, but yeah, apart from that, I didn't see anything. I just drove like focused ahead and just looked forward and tried to do my best.
A decent race for you though.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, good start. Maybe lost out a bit, but I think just staying behind these cars is really hard because obviously Alton's a lot of aero, so it's just more about keeping with Roberto, maybe trying to get a challenge, but I don't think we ever got close enough for that. But honestly, to even get that car out for today, I have to thank boys because yesterday no bits on car at all. Both front suspension had gone, so I'm really happy with them. So it's just a miracle for Team Even to be here, let alone even if it's.
So an impressive start to the GB3 Championship for Luke Browning. You can see his car behind me, number 5 for High Tech. Just one of the teams competing in this season of the GB3 Championship. You'll probably know High Tech, very, very popular and also very, very successful at this level of motorsports. But there are other teams, of course, they're racing against. So let's meet the teams that are competing in this year's GB3 Championship. So those are the teams competing this season in the GB3 Championship. Now, one of the biggest changes this year in the Championship is the car you can see behind me. Lots of differences. The most obvious one straight away is the new halo system on top there. So let's take a closer look at the car these drivers are racing around here at Oulton Park.
Well, let's take a look at the brand new car for 2022, the Tatus MSV 022. Fantastic brand new car for our season, featuring a 2-litre engine, 4 cylinders producing 250 brake horsepower. That's 20 more than last year, with Brembo brakes to slow them down once they get down into the corners, and plenty of aero additions to make sure they can corner at the highest speed possible. 6 gears and the car controlled by flappy paddles on the steering wheel. As we rotate around, you'll see the Pirelli tyres as well that take us through the 2022 season. A certain allocation for the round to allow them to progress through the 3 races. A diffuser on the rear, new for 2022, also to do with the under trait as well. The halo, 12 kilograms only added to the car for extra safety as well over the top. The underfloor with a new bib as well for 2022. The front wing as well, all adjustable with the rear wing as well to make sure they can cater the car to whatever the driver's preference is.
So we've met the teams, we've had a closer look at the car. It's time to look at the track we're racing around this weekend. It was a very warm day on Saturday here at Alton Park for the first round of the GB3 Championship. It was a little bit cold this morning for the GB4 race, but actually the sun's come out now. I've opened this jacket up, my nose is probably getting a little bit more burnt, so let's have a look at the track they'll be racing around in temperatures of around about 12 degrees here at Alton Park this afternoon.
Let's see what's in store then for the 2022 season of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Oulton Park, our first round on the 16th and the 18th of April, before we head over to Silverstone 3 weeks after on the 7th and 8th of May. Donington Park for the 28th and 29th of May, before we go to Snetterton 300 on the 25th and 26th of June. Spa-Francorchamps, our early trip abroad on the 23rd and 24th of July. And a week later we head to Silverstone once again on the 30th and 31st of July. Brands Hatch GP on the 10th and 11th of September. And then we finish the season off at Donington Park on the 15th and 16th of October. And then the circuit for the weekend's entertainment, we head to Cheshire in the United Kingdom, of course, to Oulton Park. A fantastic racetrack that was built back in 1953, but back then it was just a square. We've added on the island loop as well now. It is a brilliant racetrack, very, very challenging, courtesy of the undulations. The length not too long, 2.7 miles around here, but it's one with 17 corners that provides so many difficult corners for our drivers. The likes of Old Hall, of Cascade, over the rear end of the circuit at Druids. It really is a difficult corner, split up of course into third sectors. First one ends in the Shell Oils corner, second one just before Clay Hill, and then that one holds over the final bit of the lap. It is a tricky circuit, one with plenty of overtaking opportunities, not too many braking zones though. Take a look then around the Alton Park International Circuit. On board with Zach Taylor for Fortec Motorsports. Into Old Hall at turn 1. Watch out for the curb on the inside and the outside as well, because you can exceed track limits and get your lap invalidated from running too far wide. Down Denton's and into Cascade. Fantastic corner. Very important to get this exit right over onto the curb on the right hand side before we get that straight line run 500 metres down to Island Bend, completely flat out, but you've got to put it back over to the left hand side, just cresting there, going down into the Shell Oils corner. Massively banked hairpin, really got to throw it in and just be brave, committed, get early on that power. And then the chicane of Britain's, tricky one this, very easy to take too much curb. They're quite high with the sausages on the inside that might well throw the car off. Out that and then over hilltop, back down the hill into a decent overtaking opportunity, to be perfectly honest. Hislops just here, a move down the inside here will give you the outside for the second part of it. Roll it around, pull it back over to the left hand side, and then over to the right as we commit to the curbs at Knickerbrook. Up Clay Hill, 560 metres until the next corner as we rise up and then slightly back down into one of the hardest corners around this track. The drivers fear it almost. You can touch too much grass on the inside, touch too much on the outside. It is very difficult, that one being Druids corner. And then of course the final one, Lodge. Great braking zone this one, probably the heaviest around the entire circuit, probably the only place you can actually make a decent dive bomb. Over Deer Leap, and that will finish you a lap around Alton Park International.
Now the Masters might have been 2 weeks ago, and I'm always fascinated to know what drivers do when they're not racing. And three of the guys here spent their Easter Sunday just on the golf course. So we've got Bryce Aaron from High Tech, we've got James Headley and John Bennett from Elite Motorsports. So first of all, I mean, we've got an American here. Is this the next Tiger Woods?
I am definitely not Tiger Woods. Just trying to figure out how to golf in the first place. It's like my first time, but enjoyed it. It was fun.
Did you get the ball off the ground?
I did actually. It was a bit tough sometimes. Yeah, I wasn't brilliant, but I wasn't the worst there.
Okay, good. And I'm going to ask James, like, you know, who's the best off the tee?
Well, it was obviously me, but no, I think it was me. Yeah, I spent a lot of time actually coaching yesterday, rather than even I'm no expert myself, but yeah, you know, just make these guys look like idiots.
Must be frustrating when you're, you know, a bit more experienced to be, you know, having to deal with these beginners. That must be a bit stressful.
Yeah, honestly, such rookies, couldn't believe it. But
I do have to say, for a guy that says he isn't a beginner, he kind of looks like one.
Yeah, okay, good. Well, I like that sort of, you know, team rivalry. That's good. And I actually asked John yesterday just about who's going on, and what did you say to me about the level of skill that we saw?
Yeah, well, I'll say it's more who's the least bad, but if you had to choose who is the least bad, I would say it's definitely me. I think James' biggest skill was driving the golf cart on 3 wheels, but golfing not so much. So.
Okay, you've ruined my final question there about who drove the golf buggy, but that's fine. So if there was, you know, like a wider tournament, if we could get something going, have you heard any rumours of anyone else being particularly good at golf in the paddock?
Well, we were playing with Brandon Oxley as well, but he was also pretty awful. Yeah, I'd say he probably spent more time looking for his ball than hitting it.
Yeah, he lost the most balls the whole time. So
yeah, you never knew where it went. It usually didn't go that far, but yeah.
I think the moral of the story here is great drivers don't always make great golfers. Guys, thank you very much for chatting to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm here in the assembly area with not the best golfer in the world, but certainly the best qualifying golfer out of the guys we just spoke to there. John Bennett in the Elite Motorsports car. He's starting P6 here. Next to him is teammate Tom Leben in P5. As we walk down the grid here, we can just see all the drivers getting ready here. Matthew Rees, who we spoke to yesterday after the race. There's a gentleman just running in front of us because, you know, he doesn't know we're live, but we are live. Obviously, Matthew Rees there, who came third yesterday in the first race of the GB3 Championship. And he's the first person to swear live on this, and obviously no one will be swearing today, not on my watch. Javier, yeah, here we go. Roberto Faria here. He is a Sauber young driver, so a lot of people very, very keen on him. Very, very, very popular. And I mean, let's just go to the front here. Luke Browning was exceptional yesterday, winning by over 10 seconds. You can see him getting into his high-tech car here. Just final sort of words with his team boss here, or at least his head mechanic. As you can see, the helmets, they do have the safety system there that you might be familiar with if you've watched other championships, securing them both into the car and to the helmet there. Very stringent rules, as you can imagine, with motorsports in terms of the seat belts. There was actually an issue with one of the seat belts at Snetterton in Megan Gilks' car, actually, and it really affected the start of her qualifying. They didn't approve her seat belt because it wasn't fitting properly, and it's, you know, safety standards are very high in all forms of motorsports here. Now, this driver here in the Fortec, Joel Granfors, one of the Swedish drivers on the grid. Yesterday, he did qualify second. He got a 5 grid place penalty, which put him back, which heavily affected his race. He should have started second yesterday, but obviously in the second race, it goes on your second fastest lap time, and the penalty was only applied to the first race. So he is starting second today, so it's going to be very interesting to see if he can make a move on Luke Browning off the line, off the front row of the grid, into that first turn. I mean, he's going to be hoping so, because yesterday was, you know, very disappointing for him to have put in such a good lap time, and then, you know, for impeding another car being dropped down the grid 5 places. We can take a bit of a walk up the grid here, see who we can find to speak to. See the Elite Motorsports cars here. Always a tricky one with this, because obviously the drivers are having their last minute briefings, so we don't really want to interrupt them. Let's have a look who we've got. Let's head towards the back of the grid here. See some of the guys that are getting ready here. We've got Kean Shields in the other high-tech. Starting at the back, actually, we heard yesterday from Alex Connor. Now, you might remember Alex Connor had an engine failure, so it's really disappointing to be starting a championship and suddenly your engine blows out. Now, because of that blowout, he is starting last again in this race. I was just chatting to him here. The car, he says, is 100%. He's looking forward to a good race, but it's going to be quite tricky for him to be starting at the back there. It'll be very interesting to see how he gets on in the reverse race, which is later on, where the grid is reversed. We'll talk a bit more about that later on. Let's just focus on this race for now. But as we go back here, more teams with their drivers. Let's see if we can grab a word with someone who's available. They're all very deep in conversation. I don't like to butt in at this stage. No, we can walk, but we'll walk back. We'll walk back. Let's have a look who we can find. Oh, Richard Dutton. I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Can I have a quick word with you just before we start the race here? Yeah. So, you know, we've seen some strong performance in that first race. You know, you must be happy to have Joel actually starting second today after he was hit with that 5 place penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him at the front and see what he can do. I think he's only going to get stronger and stronger. It's his first weekend and been on the front row twice, and unfortunately got the penalty yet on Saturday. But no, I think he'll be strong today, and hopefully, as long as he get off the line, it should be a good race.
It's all about that first corner, really, isn't it? Being on the front row of the grid.
Absolutely, yeah. Getting to the first corner, but he's got good pace, so hopefully, as long as he gets away all right, he'll be strong.
Excellent, thank you very much. We'll chat with you in a little bit as we go around the grid here. That is the team boss of Fortec, Richard Dutton, who we did speak to on the coverage yesterday, but if you didn't see the coverage yesterday, welcome along. You can re-watch any of the races here on the live stream. It is live for one moment in time, but it will live on the stream feed you're watching. Let's see who I can find from another team here as we head up the grid. Here we go. We're going to go and get... Oh, actually, well, no, we can't, can we? Right, people keep seeing me and running away. Let's find someone. Let's find someone here. Someone from the Elite. Here we go. Let's go and speak Let's go and speak with one of these guys. Guys, we're live on the live stream now. You're here with John's car. You're hoping for a good race. Everything good with John's car?
Yeah, it's all good. It should be. He's starting P6, so. Yeah.
We spoke to John earlier about the golf, and you know, he was relaxing away from the golf course. You know, were you invited to that at all?
No. We
really?
had to come in for prep on the car.
Oh, you got all the hard work to do while the driver's just, you know, relax and unwind.
He's got a hard job now, though.
He has got a hard job now. He's got a very hard job, and certainly Tom Leben was not probably where he wanted to be in that first race. He must be hoping to be getting, you know, pretty far up the grid, and he's not doing too badly, starting what is it, 5th?
Yeah, he should have a good race. He's got good pace. Hoping John does as well. So.
We've seen Alex Walker in the GB4 series doing very well as well. I mean, I'm assuming you probably just work on the GB3, but you know, it must be nice to have someone winning in that other championship to spur these guys on.
Yeah, he's doing really well, and it definitely gives these positivity and that. And just good team, really.
All right, well, I'll let you get on making sure John's ready for the race there. Thank you very much. Didn't get that guy's name. Probably should have got his name, but you know, if you know who he is, please at me, at Johners. I'll give him all the credit he needs. Here we go, Jonathan Palmer, live on our live stream here. The man behind MSV, the man behind these championships. You've just arrived, and you must be looking forward to an exceptional race, to the second race of the championship.
Well, I hope it's going to be an exceptional race, but I'm certainly looking forward to the second race. Of course, this is the grid set by the second fastest times. I think there's going to be certainly the Granfalls, I think, is going to be very keen to make up for his grid penalty yesterday. And it's second race. You know, the points are going to start building. Clearly, out in the front, Luke Browning's looking very strong. But it's one hell of a championship, and the competition is incredibly close. So I'm really looking forward to it. But I mean, these guys are all fighting for their careers. They're all deadly serious. They're all trying to prove that ultimately they should be in a Formula One car.
And just speaking briefly before the cars come out, these cars look fantastic. This new GB3 car.
Yeah, they do look good, and they sound really good too. But even more important than that is how they look and sound, is just how equal they all are. And the performance of them is superb. They're about 2 seconds a lap quicker than last year for the GB3 cars. The new upgrade that Chatters have done has been very, very effective. All of which makes it just a better and better platform for these guys. You know, everyone on this grid, and it's a big grid, that they all want to try and be proving their and learning and getting better and proving the case for them to get into FIA Formula 3 and then Formula 2 and then Formula 1. It's exciting. It's exciting seeing such talent, and there's some great teams. I think the other thing is we must give credit to the teams out there. They're really, really professional operations all the way down the field, and it makes it very exciting for me to see the opportunity of talent to prove itself, and then of course in time move forward.
Yep, an exceptional platform. I'll let you get on and chat to the teams before they start. Jonathan Palmer there, the chief executive of MSV, who own the tracks, put on this championship, and you know, the GB4 championship especially was the brainchild of Jonathan, who, as he sort of hinted there, he wants to make motorsports more affordable, because you know, getting into these cars is very, very expensive, and a lot of the drivers in GB4 maybe wouldn't be racing if they weren't offered that opportunity with GB4. They'd be racing in different divisions perhaps, but maybe not doing what they want to do here. So we can have a quick look here. I think the cars are about to go out now. Let's speak to Roberto Faria's guy here. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex, how are you feeling about this race? A good result in the second race, coming second. So can we do one better?
Yeah, hopefully it could be better, but we got quite strong opponent at the front, so it'll be quite hard for him to overtake in this track. But hopefully we can have another podium, and finger crossed for a P1.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously Roberto being part of the Sauber Academy means that you know he's a highly rated driver. So you know, here at Carlin you've got some pretty good drivers under your belt.
Yeah, we've got quite a few drivers now and a lot in the past. But yeah, we got Sauber. I think we still got some Williams in F3 and F2 as well as the Red Bull.
Yeah. So yeah. So there's a lot of talent.
Yeah, a bit of pressure, but it's okay.
And you're one of, I was going to say, well, you're one of the teams that's had great success before, very well-established team. So there must be high expectations on not just the drivers, but also on you guys to give them the car that can win a championship.
Yeah, there is of course pressure, but it's more pressure you put yourself on, because everybody was quite well together, so it's quite easy to get in the mold and just follow what they ask you to do every day.
Yeah, so nice. You've got to be chilled. I mean, you see the drivers when they're not racing, they're very relaxed. We chatted to some of the elite guys playing golf yesterday, and we've seen some of the other drivers hanging out. I mean, what do your drivers do on their days off?
Us, we've been karting, but yeah.
Okay, like a sort of busman's holiday. Yes, good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, just try to chill out, and they were not with us.
I can see also, you know, you look at the drivers now in the cars now and how still they are, and do they have rituals that you go through? Is every driver different in terms of how they prepare for the race, or is it just a case of staying as calm as possible?
Some just stay in the truck, put their headphones, listen to their music, and some will be outside playing a bit with the ball to train their reflex. But yeah, every driver we have are completely different.
Of course they are, and that's what you're all about, Carlin. I'll let you continue making sure that your drivers are all ready for this race. Still waiting for the cars to leave this setup area here. Now, as I mentioned, Luke Browning was very accepting. You know, 10-second lead at the start, 10-second gap at that first race. So, I mean, he's going to be hoping to get a good start here. I was hoping to grab a word with him. He's in the car nice and early as well. I think it's a safety car, possibly, I'm hearing, in the race before this, which is why we're maybe having a slight delay here. Let's take a little bit more of a walk. Here we go. Let's get Eddie Ives from Elite Motorsports. Eddie, we're live on the live stream now. We've just chatted to your boys who are playing golf. Were you invited to the golf day?
I wasn't, I'm afraid. I would have gone, but no, I wasn't invited.
That's absolutely atrocious. I can't believe they didn't invite you. But a lot of your tech guys are saying they probably had to do some hard work while the guys were relaxing.
I'm not so sure. I think they were in the pub yesterday. So.
Okay, there we go. Elite Motorsports like to play hard and like to work hard as well. That's good to know. Are you hoping for? I mean, I'm just going to ask you, what are you hoping for from your drivers today? They're in good positions on the grid.
Yeah, well, look, we've got two in the top 6 and one down in 10th. Just looking for some solid finishes this time of year. Just need to keep your nose clean and yeah, have some solid top 5 finishes.
Okay, we are going to hand over to the commentary team in just a second. One final question though, Alex Walker. I mean, we've got to talk about him in GB4. An exceptional performance, 3 wins out of 5 so far in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got another one to go this weekend, but no, he's done a stunning job. He's a real top talented kid, and yeah, it's showing on circuit.
Okay, Eddie, we'll let you get on. We're going to let the cars come out now. We can see the safety car driver, whose name, unfortunately, I don't have to hand, getting into the car now, which means the cars will be going out of this assembly area in just a second. They'll be going to take their place on the grid for the formation lap, and then the second of the GB3 championship races will take place at Oulton Park. It's the second here at Alton Park, and it's also the second in the championship. So I will hand over to your commentary team of Piers Pryor, and first, this is Lewis McGlade.
Cheers, John. Wow, racing coming up. We do love ourselves a bit of the GB3 Championship. It was fantastic on Saturday, and we're looking forward to another great race here today. Pierce, this is going to be a tough one.
It's going to be a great race. Again, we're a lot of cars, 21 cars on the grid for this race. Some really good racing yesterday, nice and close in the first lap. A few incidents, maybe hopefully a few less incidents today, but the racing just as close would be amazing.
Yeah, I wonder, obviously, to go on to that bit of incident, you know, Carlin had a little bit of a moment, shall we say, between Callum Voisin and Segura coming out of Shell Oil's corner. I think it's going to be a nice debrief from the team. Like, surely they'd have calmed down by now.
Yeah, I'm sure they've calmed down by now, but that would have been an awkward debrief at the very least, with obviously the 2 teammates coming together there. Again, an easy manoeuvre to get wrong, and that's obviously what caused the contact, and I'm sure they've debriefed and both learnt from that, so yeah, hopefully that won't happen again. But I'm really looking forward to seeing these GB3 cars fly around this circuit. They are the fastest cars around here at the moment and this weekend, and they are, you know, they're really lapping quickly around here, and it's a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, fantastic. Of course, the brand new car for 2022, the Tatas MSV 022, 250 brake horsepower. It's 25, I believe it is, more than last year's. Great car.
Oh, the cars look mega. You know, not that the previous iteration of the GB3s look bad at all, because they were still really good cars. But with the new side airbox, you know, it's
so good.
It's a throwback to the old British Formula 3 cars and back in the day. You know, they were awesome. And then you've got the wider front wings with the bigger end plates. You've got those swept rear wings. You've got that extra, as you say, 25, 30 more horsepower now. A little bit extra weight with the halo, but that's obviously safety reasons, which is, you know, it's excellent to see as well. So I'm really looking forward to this race. I'm loving watching the cars flying around. The grid's packed. It's, you know, loads of top quality drivers. So, you know, really good to see.
Yeah, of course. The halos is 12 kilos. It adds to the car, but it's more about that weight being fairly high up, isn't it? Now, how does that kind of affect the car? Do you know, like about rolling through the corner? Sure, it's going to have quite a substantial impact.
Yeah, well, in theory, obviously, you want in a racing car your weight as low down as possible, so that when you turn through the corners, there's a little weight transfer between the inside and the outside wheels, because that's how you get the most grip. Obviously, the wings on the cars produce downforce, but then, as you say, they've got a little bit more weight high up with that the halo, which adds about 12 kilos to the car. So in theory, it'll make it roll a little bit more. I believe the cars, some of the feedback from the drivers I've heard is the cars are feeling a bit stiffer than the old cars, because they're obviously carrying a bit more weight. Again, they've got a bit more power, so you have to hold that in. You're running the same tyres, but obviously 2 full sets of tyres they get for these weekends.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, anyone who joined us for the GB4 coverage earlier will know that they get 6 tyres for a weekend in this, with it being 2 full sets. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can do the maths yourselves, but that means that obviously it would be 8 tyres of the Pirelli tyres that we've got for the weekend. Now, the thing is with that, they can kind of use them as they wish. How would you use them? Would you use them a completely fresh set for the races today?
Well, to be honest, you know, you'd have to think about it because it really depends on where you've qualified, how you are conserving your tyres yourself, tyre warming as well, because obviously, as we saw at the first round of the GB4 in Snetterton, they were struggling to get some temperature in those cool temperatures. A bit warmer here this weekend at Oulton Park, so maybe tyre warming not so much of an issue. Again, with slightly more weight in the GB3 car and that much more aerodynamic grip, it adds all that temperature to the core of the tyre, which is what you want to get warm. It's not just about the surface. You'll see them doing wheel spins before the line and stuff, which is great, but you need to get the proper inside and the wheel and the carcass of the tyre warm to get that edge grip that you need in the car. And also, some circuits you'll be struggling with graining. If you overheat the outside while having the core too cold, you'll end up with a bit of graining on that front left tyre and on these clockwise circuits, which can be an issue, and you can lose a lot of lap time through that.
Getting word as well, by the way, as they start rolling out of the pits and start getting themselves ready for the second round of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Drivers that are running on tyres which are used, pretty much most of the grid actually. Javier Segura is taking just half, so I'm assuming that means they're taking just the 2 tyres. Segura with one, Callum Voisin as well, his teammate, will take half a set. And then at the back of the field, Bryce Aaron and Alex Connor are also taking half. Everyone else, all of them, are running the same tyres they ran in the previous race. That's interesting that it's so many.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you mentioned with that tyre strategies, you get given 8 tyres to run from qualifying and the 3 races. But you don't have to take all 4 in one go in the races. So, for instance, everyone will go 4 new for qualifying, obviously, because you have to run those tyres in quality and you want the most performance in qualifying to set the grid. But then you can take, for example, most of the drivers, or Segura, Voisin, Connor and Aaron, they are taking those left-hand tyres because that's the tyres in this clockwise circuit that get the most abuse and the most wear. So if you're changing 2 new tyres, you can then do that twice as opposed to taking 4 all in one go. Obviously, ideally for lap time, you'd be taking 4 all in one go. Maybe the drivers who qualify lower down the field, who are looking at that reverse grid thinking, I can get a good result in that one, maybe they'll save their 4 new tyres for that. But then obviously everyone else would probably be going 2 new in this race, then 2 new in the next one, so that they sort of spread their lap time or their quick lap times throughout the weekend. Really is something to think about, and also it will play a part in the championship later on in the year. If someone has a bad qualifying, they'll have to think about that.
Yeah, we can see them all lining themselves up before doing a formation lap, I do believe, before we'll be able to take a look at the grid order. Just a quick update before we see that, as we see Luke Browning rolling into his pole position, this time alongside Joel Granfors, who was originally supposed to start on the front row of the grid but got a 5-place grid penalty after qualifying, same as Tom Leben, who dropped down and then had a bit of an issue on the start anyway. Callum Voisin having a grid penalty this time, 5 places after contact with Alex Connor.
Yes, that was unfortunate in the first race on Saturday. He obviously came together with his teammate at the Shell Oils hairpin, but then later on that same lap having a small bit of contact in the Hislop and Knickerbrook chicane with Alex Connor. A bit unfortunate, a bit clumsy, but unfortunately a penalty for him. But that obviously promotes Granfors back up in second place where he belongs, really on pace, because those 2, Browning and Granfors, were really the class of the field in qualifying, really, almost half a second clear of 3rd place.
Yeah, they were lightning fast. In the first qualifying, separated, obviously when it was down to their fastest laps, both of them separated by 0.041 of a second. In the second qualifying session, based on the same qualifying session, but based on the second fastest lap, Granfors was behind by just 1/10 of a second as they start rolling for their formation lap here at Alton Park for the second round. As we'll get to see the grid order. Luke Browning on that pole position, and what a fantastic race he had yesterday. Completely dominant, lights to flag out front. Did have a little bit of work to do, but he rolls off of pole position with Joel Granfors alongside on that front row of the grid. Behind that, in the 3rd position, Roberto Ferrer, who managed to grab a podium yesterday with Matthew Rees alongside, who was also on the podium in the opening round of the season. Then Tom Leben and John Bennett for Elite Motorsports. They lock out row 3 of the grid. Tom Leben had a bit of a stall on the grid. He'll look to do more from 5th place, and John Bennett in his first season in open wheel racing had a great day yesterday. Behind that, Javier Segura, who obviously got involved in that incident and was retired from the race in the first lap, alongside Mackenzie Cresswell in 8th position. And then rounding out the top 10, Max Esterson. Great qualifying from him on that second fastest lap for Douglas Motorsports. He moved up the order after a really average day yesterday. James Headley alongside to round out the top 10. Callum Boysen, after a 5-place grid drop, starts from 11th position with Marcus Flack alongside in 12th. 13th position goes the way of Zach Taylor with Kean Shields, the high-tech Grand Prix drivers. The other high-tech Grand Prix drivers not going quite as fast as their teammate Luke Browning, who dominated yesterday. And then Brandon Oxley and David Morales in 16th position. Still 5 more cars to go through on the second round of the season. Nick Gilks with Tommy Smith alongside in 18th. Of course, the GOAT himself, Mikko Grundtvig, Bryce Aaron, and then the final car on the grid being Alex Connor, who did a fairly good job then to work his way up the order. I hadn't really thought about it because he did start quite low down yesterday after issues in qualifying. Worked his way up the order quite well yesterday after being then taken out.
Yes, it was a good start actually. He made use of all the bunching up in the midfield and made quite a few places. Obviously, that's a big skill of this, is keeping your nose clean. Those front wings are way out in front of you, and it's something to get used to when you're going from karts or even from Formula Ford, because you're not used to those front wings being so far out in front of you. But I must say, it is amazing to see such a strong and big grid of F3 cars here at Oulton Park on a perfect race weekend. Easter Monday, massive crowds out here today. I was down watching the British GTs earlier in between these races, and it's so good to see so many people, and it just looks amazing. The heat haze, these new cars, they do look awesome with the halo, the airbox, that Ram airbox, and the low slung wings, and it's just great to see.
Final question, obviously the grid being sort of very undulating from up and down, surely there's an advantageous position to start, and yes, pole position maybe, but slightly uphill.
Yeah, obviously you'd still always rather be on pole, but it is very difficult. If you go far enough back, we're seeing that shot we just saw a moment ago is where the Alton Park sign is. It dips down quite aggressively, and obviously with these Formula 3 cars, no handbrake, so you have to hold that car on the foot brake if you can. I believe we're about to go green flag in a moment.
Yeah, 14 laps onto the clock as we'll get ourselves ready for the second round of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, as we get ourselves underway once again at Alton Park. The first race of the day, a great start in the background. I think that was Mackenzie Cresswell getting off well. Joel Granfors dropped behind Roberto Faria though. It's a great launch from Luke Browning as Matthew Rees under pressure. It's John Bennett going around the outside, even of his teammate. That was a great start from him up into 5th place. Tom Lebens dropped back just a little bit. It is Mackenzie Cresswell who's actually worked his way up as he's side by side in that red and yellow car, maybe making a little bit of contact with Tom Leben there. A dicey start, great one though for Luke Browning.
Once again, Luke Browning with an amazing launch off the line, taking himself, again, he's almost a second clear already. What a start Luke Browning has had to this championship campaign, especially at Alton Park now. He's doing so well to get the car off the line, side by side around the outside of the Shell Oils hairpin there. Are we going to have a repeat of yesterday? No, we're not.
Yeah, that was Marcus Flack trying to make something stick around the outside there, thankfully getting away without any contact. We run down into Britain's. There is the side-by-side again. It is Flack going around the outside of David Morales. Alex Connor, who's made a little bit of progress in the background, running down now into Hislops over Hilltop. It was Max Esterson just maybe having a little bit of a view down the inside of Callum Boysen into the braking zone. That one pretty much sorted out. Great start to the race though, cleaner than the first race on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, excellent to see all these cars filing side by side, even down through Cascades. That's not easy to do. There's not a lot of space, and the speed they carry through there, you have to be so careful. So it was great to see those two cars go side by side down there. Again, looking for the tow here. I think there's a couple of cars that are going to be looking to pull out and maybe have a lunge here, potentially. Is that one of the Carlin cars?
Yeah, Callum Boy's in there. You can tell the red highlight. Thankfully, Carlin, I've said this on Saturday. I love the fact that Carlin have very bright colours to distinguish which one. The Ferrier is obviously the white one that's just come through there. The bright green is Segura. The red one, though, is Callum Boysen, who's attacking James Headley. The blue and red car of Boysen, the black and yellow car of James Headley, who bounces on that curve. It is very bumpy out there, isn't it?
It is very bumpy, and these cars are so low slung, and they're trying to get as low as possible to get the maximum downforce. The plank, you'll see the cars, if they hit the curve, you'll see a bit of puff of dust, maybe just there. Their puff of dust come up. That's from the wooden plank underneath the car. Again, you can't wear too much of that. You can't sit on that too hard, otherwise it'll wear down, and if you're below a certain thickness... Oh, we've got a change here.
Mackenzie Cresswell down the inside. A bit of a lock-up in the background as well from James Headley running in. I'm surprised he kept that one on the track. Surely that was going to be quite an easy one for him to overrun.
Wow, yeah, that's obviously it's a big braking zone in these cars because you're completely flat through Island Hairpin, 125, 130 miles an hour, down to about an apex speed about 50 miles an hour into the Shell Oils Hairpin, which sounds not that fast, but when considering how tight the corner is, it really is quite quick, and we're still Boysen trying to get past Headley here.
Yeah, he's giving it a good go. Way too much of the curb, though, I feel, running through the first part of his laps, and then Voisin might have to look backwards to Max Esterson, who's just on the cusp of getting himself inside the top 10. Luke Browning doesn't really care about any of that as he is running away from the field. 1.6 seconds he led over the previous lap from Faria, then Granfors, Rees, Bennett, Leben. We look now at Headley, who's in that 9th position with Voisin directly behind him. Voisin might be eyeing a move, potentially, down into the final corner. Surely a little bit too far back, but you can make a bit of a dive down into there.
Yes, the last corner, I would say, is probably the one main overtaking opportunity, the one part of the track where you can actually dive down the inside on the brakes. Everywhere else is so fast. Even turn 1, it's a wide open entry into Oulton corner at turn 1. But in these F3 cars, with the amount of downforce they've got, you're barely even braking. Tell you what, it's great to see. Great to the gloves, the gloves of Headley and Voisin there, going through Druids and the first corner. You can really see them working at the wheel, see these cars dancing around on the limit.
Yeah, despite there being a 20 to 25% increase in downforce, yeah, you've still got to work the car, though. There is a lot of driving involved.
Just a lock up there from Farrier in second place. He doesn't want to be doing that too much, otherwise he'll be getting a flat spot and might get some graining in that front right-hand tyre. Might allow Granfors to close up. Obviously, Granfors was very close to Browning in qualifying, but hasn't been able to show that pace so far in the race, obviously with the dirty air behind Farrier. But Farrier keeps making mistakes like that. He might be under pressure. Who was that in the pit lane there?
That was Bryce. No, sorry, it was Kean Shields, the high-tech Grand Prix, the grey and sort of orange and black car. The number 6 out of the race. Bit of a shame.
Yes.
Not a great day yesterday.
Yeah, Kean's struggling a little bit. Again, I believe it's his first season in car racing. Stepped straight from karting. Very successful and accomplished karter. He did a lot of X30 racing in Europe and in the UK and was very good at that. But obviously, it's a big step up to go from karts to cars like these. These are very fast cars, and I know myself. Obviously, I jump pretty much straight. I know myself jumps pretty much straight from karting into these cars, and it does take you a certain amount of time to get used to these cars. And also side by side, as we see Granfors going wide at the last corner there. You don't want to be doing that too much. That will definitely cost him time. And also with the sensors on the track, if you do that too many times, you could be taking a trip to the stewards and potentially getting a penalty there. As Rees is now closing up on the back of Granfors.
Surely as well, like, in a car like this, you're basically bouncing the tub across the floor. It's not as if you've got some nice suspension at that point. Surely that does hurt a little bit.
It feels strange. It doesn't actually hurt unless you see a Rees going by there. You can see that dust that was being brought up there at the back. That is just the floor, the wooden plank on the car, literally burning away, and it smells really nice when you're actually behind the car behind. It smells like a nice wood burnt fire. But you do that too much, and you obviously track limits for the slide out of the corner there for Rees. But also, you don't want to be doing that too much. It is pretty hard. If you hit these curves, especially around here, you'll feel the car bottoming out. It's a very, very sharp and sudden stop on the ground. Again, you'll feel it over these curves. You can see as they go over the sausage on the left-hand side here at the Britain chicane. You can definitely feel that. And it's some corners it doesn't matter so much. Other corners you do it too much, and you can definitely lose some straight line speed if you're hitting the bumps in the wrong places. Can unsettle the car in the middle of the corner as well.
I'm surprised by how much they're using the curbs into Britain's. I know obviously you typically use the flat bit, but there's obviously quite a large sausage on the inside of both of those curbs. It's quite surprising how much they hit them.
Racing drivers are greedy breed. They're trying to take everything they can. You'll see on the exit the corners, they're right up by the exit, right up by the grass or the green paint, and on the apex we try and take as much as possible. And it's one of those where you can definitely gain a bit. If you can keep the car over the curb and keep it left on the British chicane, really opens up the right onto the straight, which is again into his lots is one of the main overtaking opportunities.
Alex
Here we
Connor.
go.
Oh, he's going for it. Alex Connor straight down the
move.
inside, making the move on Marcus Black. That is what we were talking about.
Brilliant. Yeah, that last corner again, a really nice long braking zone downhill, which extends it a little bit, and you've got a bit of space in there. Nice late apex. Is he going to come back? No. Oh, and that is who's that on the inside there? There's the other high-tech car.
Yeah, Bryce Aaron, a little bit of rush as well. David Morales getting pushed just a little bit wide there. They're still going to be nearly nose to tail running down the hill into Cascades, and David Morales was fancying another look at that. That was a little bit more dicey than the move from Flag.
That is a nice move down then to that turn 1. It's quite a quick corner, very wide entry, and then narrows down. So for Bryce, was that Bryce Aaron at the inside there? Yeah, Bryce Aaron to take that move at the high-tech car is really impressive, because the way you do that is you need to get it done early, because you can't be diving down too late. Otherwise, the driver in front, they're going to be looking at the apex and they won't see you. Very small mirrors, especially with the new airbox. With that mirror, you'll notice the left-hand side of the car, the left-hand mirror is actually quite a lot higher than the right-hand mirror on a lot of these cars. And that's because you can see the big airbox as we look at it on the right-hand side, but on the left-hand side of the cars, right where the drivers want to be able to see. So quite unhelpful. That's hence that mirror goes higher in the air. Not so much on right-hand corners, so you'll be okay, but left-hand corners, the visibility behind is definitely an issue.
But surely it's still even then, like where you think of it, where looking at that mirror, dead backwards, Yeah, no chance. You're still looking straight into the intake there.
You definitely have to have a sort of a sixth sense of where the cars are around you, and that's again something that you definitely don't get from karting. In karting, you can see so much, and you have to get used to the feeling of a car sort of being darting in and out of your mirrors and knowing where they are and placing that car behind you where you want them to be. You kind of have to take control as a defending driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Whilst we're focused, by the way, this is the battle for roughly 13th position. You can see the 68, the red and yellow car directly ahead of this. That is Brandon Oxley. Our focus there on Marcus Flack, who's in 15th, and between them, of course, is Alex Connor in the red and white Arden as they battle out. This is a bit further up. The blue car just coming through, though, more purpley pink. That is Tom Leben. Behind that is Mackenzie Cresswell, and then Javier Segura directly behind that, showing that it's quite difficult to overtake around here. We'll say Granfors had a couple of issues overtaking Mackenzie Cresswell yesterday, could not find a way past to try and mount a challenge for the podium.
Just shows that you have to have a really big pace advantage to be able to force a move on the cars in front, with Granfors being right up there and qualifying with Browning, and those two are pretty much the class of the field in testing and qualifying. Maybe even half a second, that sometimes those two are past everyone else. And then Cresswell was not even right in that first group, so potentially nearing a second difference in pace, and it's still finding it hard to get through. That just shows how much you have to push to get close to the cars in front. Again, a bit more aerodynamics on these cars. Very narrow circuit here at Oulton Park. As an attacking driver, you're less looking to force a move and more looking to force a mistake, which then allows you to make a move, because you can't really just throw it down the inside because you can't quite get close enough.
Now, tell us, what's the difference between forcing a move and forcing a mistake? How do you kind of do that with the body language of the car?
So around this circuit, as we know, it's very hard to follow really close because these cars have got a lot of aero. It's a narrow circuit, so when you get close to that car in front, you just lose that 10% of front grip, which means that you can't quite carry the speed of the car in front if you get too close, which kind of stops you at about half a second back, which is just too far to then launch the move up the inside, without setting them up. So what you're going to be looking to do is getting close enough, or applying pressure in the mirrors of the cars. Oh, that's side by side a replay. Whoa! See, that would have been uncomfortable. You see where the front of the car rose up and then slammed down. You can definitely feel that in your back. But yeah, back to the trying to force a mistake from the car in front. You really want to be getting as close as you can, of just consistently being nice and close and in the mirrors of the car in front, because then they're concentrating on their mirrors more than they're concentrating on where they're driving. And at that point, all they got to do is snatch a brake, run a bit wide, or just get a bit of oversteer on the exit of a corner, and then you're in the zone to be able to overtake, which then forces them to defend, go offline, and then you're in the pound seat. You can then make advantage of that, put them where you want them, make them defend into the next corner, maybe get a cut back, or at least even maybe force them into a mistake where they lose enough time you can get alongside. But no problem with that with Luke Browning at the moment, just completely clear of the field.
So good right now. The only person who's even remotely close to him on pace is actually obviously in second position, Roberto Ferrer. He wouldn't be too shocked by that. But Ferrer, to say that, he's found a bit more time based on where they were in qualifying, because Ferrer was one of those cars that was half a second off of the likes of Granfors and Browning, but clearly right with it. After a great day yesterday, a second place finish for the car, looking for his second consecutive second place finish, and clearly having the pace to match, only running normally around about 2-3 tenths slower. That lap was 7 tenths slower than Luke Browning, who set the fast lap of the race, and a 29.2 on the previous one. Very
impressive pace here for Luke Browning. I mean, if we look at his last couple of laps, previous lap 29.20, last lap just gone 29.26. Next fastest was second place, we're at 29.9, so he's 7 tenths of a second a lap faster than second place, and there are only 3 drivers in the 29s. First, second, Farrier, and also Reese in 4th place, actually, 29.9, gaining 2 tenths on 3rd place Granfors. So that top 4 are really, really pushing on. As we can see, Granfors dropping a wheel there. That's a sort of mistake that Reese will be trying to make Granfors make, and you can see that it's allowed Reese to just get that little bit closer to maybe make Granfors think about defending, which is exactly what he'll want him to do.
Yeah, we didn't catch what happened with Joel Granfors late in the race, but it did have some issues a bit later on, because was running in 5th position just behind Mackenzie Cresswell, and then drops back down to 6th in that race.
This is a mega shot of them coming through the Knickerbrook left and right, seeing Reese there just floating the car left to the right hand side. It's lovely to see. Again, another great shot is the one through at the island, the flat out left hand island corner, where we'll see that you can see the car's 4-wheel drifting, really seeing how much force is going through the car as they go around there, fully loaded up, flat out, with all that downforce.
You got to be. This is the thing. Fitness is critical in motorsport. We kind of know this in general, but it's because those kind of moments, you do really need a lot of strength to do it.
Absolutely, and I would say that the fitness isn't actually needed to drive the car. These cars aren't physically hard to do a lap. but it's to be able to do laps like Luke Browning's doing, and then another 29.3 that time. To be able to do it lap upon lap upon lap upon lap. It's that consistency that you need your mind to be right there. And for your mind to be there, if your body's getting fatigued, that's when your mind will fatigue. So being fit enough to just smash out lap after lap, like you can, like the guys at the front are, it's that consistency that you need. And you want to be able to rely on your body, rely on your arms, your shoulders, especially around here. I actually, when I was racing here, used to get a huge bruise on my left forearm to that Shell Oils hairpin, because when you're turning the lock, the car bumps as it goes through the banking right here, and your forearm will hit the actual cockpit of the car, and it will end up bruising. And that's sort of having that physical resilience to know that your body can deal with that, gives you the confidence to be able to push every lap. Whereas if your neck is starting to go, your arms is not quite there, you hit a bump and your grip's just a bit loose, it just means that you're losing this 10th here, 100th there, and that's the difference between the top drivers and the bottom drivers. As you can see, 3 cars here.
Yeah, Zach Taylor in the 21 just sort of weaving around, but look at Brandon Oxley, who's under a lot of pressure from Alex Connor, trying to get to the outside of his lops as well. Nearly found his way through, not quite yet. He's got to obviously watch out for Marcus Flack, who's just on the rear end of that battle as well, I believe, with Bryce Aaron, who's in 16th position as we focus them coming down. Tom Leben running through there in 6th position. There is Javier Segura in 8th place, back up to the battle for 2nd. Or 3rd rather, and Graham Force still holding on from Reese. Reese had a couple of moments though coming out of Cascade and stuff. You can see how much he's really wrestling to try and get past.
Yeah, Reese is looking racy here. He's trying to put the pressure on Graham Force. You can see him using all the track at every corner. See the puff, you saw the puff of dust at the exit turn 1. He's using all the road at 2. You're going to see the mega shot through. I love this shot. Look at the cars fully load up through there. Awesome corner.
So
awesome corner. That's 130 miles an hour, completely flat out, down to 50 miles an hour, shaving off nearly 80 miles an hour in about 40 metres there. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's you got to be brave. Like I said, that's why we don't see too many moves around there, just because of you're trying to pull it back over to the left and then throw it in. Surely there's no real opportunity. It's not a long enough braking zone.
It's one of those where you could do it, but the risk to reward. You know, these guys are at the front. They're all thinking about the championship. You know, Reed would rather finish 4th here and right behind Granfors and try and get him next time than try and force a move and then both DNF, because it's a long season, yes. But you're having DNFs left. If you're having DNFs all over the place, that's 0 points. Oh, we got
that's Brandon Oxley.
That is right where we were saying, into that braking zone of Shell Oils.
Yes, I don't know if that was assisted or a solo error. Kind of easy to see it both ways. This is a look on the replay with Alex Connor. Oh,
that
just kind of running into each other.
That's a scary, scary incident. You would not be wanting to do that. That would have been scary for Oxley going through there. The touch at that point of the circuit. If you spit off right there, there's not a lot of run up for that wall.
Yeah, I think he would have been thinking and hoping that he's going to be all right by that. You can see he's frustrated.
Yeah, definitely. Of course you're going to be frustrated. It looks like a racing incident to me. I think Alex Connor was pretty much through and Oxley was trying to hold the line. So I would say I think that's a racing incident, but just unfortunate for Brandon Oxley there. It's very unfortunate. Glad to see that he doesn't look like he's made contact with the barrier, so hopefully we'll be seeing that car out in the next race.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's too major. Obviously, there's a little bit of damage on the front left. Might well be a little bit on Alex Connor's car as well, potentially.
I don't think, actually, I think the only damage on the cars there, that from what I could see, was from it running through the backwards and sideways through the grass, which tore the floor up a little bit. It looked like a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, so if Connor's still running, then there's no reason why he should have any damage. It might be a bit of a bent tow rod or tie link or something like that, but I think he should be okay. It looks like Connor's still circulating. Yep.
Still in 13th, I do believe. It has dropped back a little bit naturally, just obviously probably would have opened the door just a touch, but either way, not ideal.
No, not ideal at all, and it'll be really disappointing. Obviously, DNFing in a race. Again, another Reese going wide again. He's really pushing on. He needs to be watching those track limits, because those automatic sensors we've got here at all the MSB circuits, great for policing track limits, so you don't rely on a person to do that. But I'd just like to draw his attention back to Luke Browning, still so in the low 29s. Everyone else, he's the only car in the 29s now. Well, actually, apart from Granfors, he did 29.99 last lap, and he was, probably about a second faster than anyone else. Again, we've had to slow up a little bit now due to the yellow flag in the Shell Oil section, being very, very aware of that, because if he sets the fastest sector or a fastest lap under a yellow flag, then he'll bring himself, again, Reese wide again. He's really pushing on here.
Either has very good understanding as to where those sensors are, or he's just throwing it in desperately, trying to grab a podium from it. Like I say, incredible stuff. To go back to the Luke Browning thing, by the way, because obviously based on the information that we have, he's still on the old tyres from race 1 and from qualifying, which means that he's got a nice fresh set. Yes, so does everyone else, but it's not as if he's put on a fresh set and is clearing away from everyone, and that's why he'll just struggle in race 3.
Yeah, very, very impressive pace. Again, what was qualifying was only in the 28, so it's only a 2 or 4 tenths off what he was managing in qualifying on brand new. So again, these cooler temperatures may be suiting that high-tech car a bit more. Again, every lap we do in these cars around this circuit, because it's such a feel and confident circuit, the drivers will be feeling more and more confident, more and more at home, getting to one with that car. And to be honest, there's nothing quite like doing a race to get yourself at one with the car, because when that pressure's on, that's when this sort of you really are operating at your best, and we can see Luke, he's completely at one with that car, fully pushing on. It looks like everything's under control, but lapping again, sort of 6, 7, 8 tenths faster than anyone else.
Well, there's a reason he came along to the GB3 Championship last year just for this round. There's a reason why he won. Obviously, I said it before, local lad. That's why all of his mates are around. You've got to show off for your mates as well. Surely that gives you a little bit of extra brake horsepower.
It was very entertaining to see Luke and all his friends. So I don't know if they're involved in racing, but they all seem like they were having an absolutely great time during the day. And then again, imagine coming to the races to watch your mate go round, and he just wins. And he wins by 10 seconds. The British, the or GB3 Championship race, first of the season, leads the championship. Yeah, he said he won 500 quid off, obviously after double pole. So he said he took his mates out for dinner as well. What an absolute legend.
Yeah, it's not a bad life, is it? It's like that. Clearly everything's clicking.
Yeah, well, I think when things are going well as a racing driver, life's absolutely golden. But it seemed like there was a flashing light there. Someone's accidentally put their rain light on, unless there's an issue with one of those cars. But yeah, being a racing driver, there's lots of ups and downs. So you've got to make the most of the ups when it's happening, because I know myself, obviously not having a drive at the moment is a real shame. I'd love to be out there on the grid with them, but I'm working as hard as I can to be on the grid again at some point, either in this championship or another one. But no, great to see Luke obviously making the most of this opportunity he's got with High-Tech, who's obviously one of the top teams.
Yeah, like I say, you've got to roll with the highs. You've got to take them as they go. You can't let any opportunities slip by, not in the modern era of motorsport when there is so much going on. We've got a couple of laps left to go, really a lap and a bit left in this race. Browning's leading from Faria. Granfors and Rees, that battle still for third position. Rees not able to quite get close enough. Then Bennett, Leben, Cresswell, Segura, Voisin and Headley, your top 10. Elite Motorsports, all 3 cars inside the top 10. That's a pretty handy effort.
Yeah, very impressive from them. Again, we wouldn't generally class them as one of the big teams, because this is their flagship championship, where potentially they race in Ginettas, whereas you've got High-Tech and Carlin, who do everything pretty much up to F2. Yeah, so they're doing really well. Potentially, some would say punching above their weight, but they've obviously got a great car out, some great drivers this year. Just thought it'd be worth mentioning, actually, Faria is actually pulling a slight gap on Granfors, which potentially on the pace we saw in qualifying wasn't expected, but maybe that pressure that Rees is putting on him is just meaning that he's driving slightly within himself, or maybe Granfors is saving his tyres, maybe for race 3. Well, it'll be interesting to see what's going on with there. Maybe John will chat to him after the race and we'll find out what's going on there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Faria was actually sort of hovering around the same lap times that Luke Browning was doing a bit earlier on in the race, but unfortunately it's dropped off a little bit pace-wise. Now, closing back in his Granfors, I think it's around about 2/10 of a second. Obviously, at this point in the race, surely you're driving well within yourself just to rescue the result.
I would imagine that Luke's probably realised he's got a 7-8 second gap. Again, he's getting quite used to this. With his first race being 10 seconds, he'll be near that. I don't imagine he's putting 110%. I think he'd probably be at 98, 99%. Just leaving a little bit of margin here or there. Just that little bit, not getting any track limit warnings, not bottoming out too much, not hitting any curbs. We don't want to go curse the commentator, so I'm touching wood right now to make sure that he gets home nice and safe on this the last lap.
Yeah, running down then into the final corner. 14 laps completed again. We've had 28, and Luke Browning has been well in control of all of it here at Oulton Park so far. The local lad does it again. Luke Browning wins round 2 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC for High-Tech Grand Prix, and it was dominant again. This time he leads across the line, still Faria, but Granfors onto the podium for his first podium of the season, with Rees behind, just missing out by a small margin. You can see there John Bennett, Tom Leben also coming across the line. This is on the back end of the top 10. James Headley just managing to hang on from Max Esterson. Zach Taylor a little bit slow, and maybe Alex Connor's going to give him a drag race towards the line. It's going to be tight between them. I think Taylor might have the advantage. It's going to be close. It is Taylor just about for Fortec, but that is a tight margin just a bit further down. 12th position that one was, and once again it was a 10th of a second. Of course it was.
Yeah, very close there. Again, amazing from Luke Browning. Pole, fast lap race win in race 1. Pole, fastest lap race win in race 2. He really has that car dialed in round here. Nice way for the crowd. What a great feeling. Great to see Faria on the podium. Granfors probably feels like he's made up for obviously the struggles he had in race 1 after the penalty in qualifying. So great to see with that. And yeah, a great race all round, I think.
no matter what level of motorsport it is, whether it's club racing, whether it's racing at the very top, a win is, I can't speak from myself, from my own experience, but I can imagine it's an indescribable feeling that you can't really find anywhere else.
It really is, because especially with these drivers are career drivers. This is what they want to do. They've set their sights on higher things, and they're using this as a stepping stone. So all the hard work, all the prep, all the testing, all of the getting the budget together, all of that comes down to that moment, which is that race win, and it will feel amazing. Again, fastest lap as well, 29.20 seconds. That's very fast around here.
Yeah, once again, Luke Browning well in control of the afternoon's racing. The number 5 on top again, Roberto Ferrer behind him, and then Granfors onto the podium with Reese behind in that 4th spot for the JHR team. Then for Elite Motorsports, 5th and 6th for them. I mean, they started down there. John Bennett managing to get up into the top 5 and having another great result. Had 5th place yesterday and 5th place today as well, a couple of days ago. Tom Leben behind as well in 6th with Cresswell, Segura obviously up there in the order after the issues yesterday on that fresh set of tyres. Same with his teammate Voisin directly behind. Then outside of the top 10, of course, it was Etterson, Taylor, Connor, Flack, Bryce, Aaron, and then David Morales, Tommy Smith with Nick Gilks, Gruntvig, and Oxley down the order. Of course, that retirement for Oxley, and then the retirement as well from Kean Shield earlier on.
Yes, it's great race. Again, shame to see Brandon Oxley have that incident with Alex Connor. Again, I believe they'll come down with a racing incident. Here we can see Luke Browning very pleased with himself, going to congratulate the team, going to say well done to his dad and all that. Great to see. And then this is the amazing.
He's got less mates this time.
Yeah, I think obviously his mates are all obviously been out yesterday and done fancy coming up this morning.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, obviously it's Bank Holiday Monday. I'm sure some people still have had to go back to work and stuff. You know, there are still jobs going on.
Aren't we? We're here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Whether this could be classified as a job, I'm having a great time. This has been so much fun. Obviously loving the GB3 and GB4 championships so far, and now we'll head down to John Jackson to catch up down in Parc Fermé.
Yeah, thanks very much, Lewis. Just watching Luke Browning here. I think you mentioned there, celebrating with his team. Lots of supporters here the other side of the fence. I'm going to dive in, give him a second to say well done. I'll let you put your hat on. It's all right, don't worry. You got to make sure the hair's looking good and everything like this. Oh, yeah. There it is. Right, Luke Browning. Fancy seeing you here again. First place in that first race, first place in this second race, championship leader. Was that race as easy? I say easy in a very flippant way. Was that race as easy for you as the first one after that start?
No, of course. Like I say, it's never easy to win around here, and it's never easy to win full stop in a championship like this. With it being so competitive, you've only got to look at the times in qualifying. It just shows again just how much work we're putting over the winter. Both myself, I feel really prepared for this championship, and yeah, it's paying off so far.
You've been getting some fantastic starts which have given you big leads which you've built on. When you are out there on your own, what goes through your mind? Because obviously when you're racing other drivers around you, there's a lot of different thoughts going on, I suppose, when you're sort of having to keep it together and focus out on your own. Yeah,
exactly. It's just about being consistent, putting in lap after lap. And I think enjoying it a little bit as well. I think the times like that, it's very rare that you get to do it, and when you do, I think you've got to enjoy it. So yeah, I've got a smile on my face out there.
Here we go, first place and second podium for the weekend, Luke Browning with High Tech. Congratulations, we'll let you get off and celebrate more with your team. Roberto Faria, the Brazilian, where is he? Has he run away? Oh, he's over here, he's right, fine, okay, we'll find him. He's an elusive character. Roberto, I'm sorry to break up the chat with your supporters there, but very consistent, another second place for you, and you were putting in some pretty good lap times towards the end there, and actually pulled out a bit of a gap from Joel.
Yeah, today the team did a good job. We looked to the data, and now we were way faster than the first race, so we found some pace. At the end was yellow flag, so I was just managing the tires, and I opened the gap, and then was quite comfortable there. But yeah, the car really improved from one race to the other. Thanks to the team, we did good work yesterday and this morning, and yeah, was a good start. Second, it's quite hard to start from second place. Last race I almost lose the position because it's quite dirty there, and this race I just start from third, so I could just gain one position from the clean part of the track, and then from there on I was just pushing and focused ahead.
Did very well, and we had a commentary team there talking during the race about tyres, and lots of different drivers going with changing tyres, and some weren't. What tyres were you going on? Were they the old tyres from before, or a bit of a mismatch?
Yeah, on the quali I did one one run with 4 new tires and the other one with 2, and then was from the 2 new tires I put on the left side, and they were not new, but they just had 7 laps. For the last race, let's try to gain some positions and gain more points for the championship.
Excellent. Well, you made it 1 place in that race. In the 3rd race, you're going to have to make up a lot more places to get points there. But Roberto, for now, congratulations. We'll let you get to the podium now, and we'll just go and find our 3rd place driver. Let's go over here, and we spoke before to Joel Granforth's team, and they were saying he was very disappointed because he did qualify 2nd in that 1st race, but he was knocked down slightly because of a penalty. I'm just mentioning, Joel, about the penalty in the 1st race being very disappointing because you were meant to start 2nd in that race, but you know you've shown what you can do from 2nd on the grid.
Yeah, I think it's a bit shit to start on the left side. It's very dirty, so I lost the far in the start, and I felt I had a pretty good pace in the beginning, but I was stuck behind him. And then in the end, I think it was a bit too close in the beginning because my tire started to overheat. And yeah, then it was just to try and keep Reese behind. So.
Okay. I mean, yeah, Matthew Reese was very, very close to you behind there. Matthew Reese also being the first person to swear on our live coverage. Obviously, if you are offended by the swearing, Joel is very, very sorry, aren't you? Yes. No, we're going to let you actually go straight to the podium now because I believe you need to get there. But good luck in the reverse race grid a little bit later on. I'll let you go. Joel Granforth there, driving with Fortec. Yes, apologies for the language there. The driver's obviously very, very excited to be on the grid and very, very excited to be on the podium. So sometimes their emotions get a little bit away with them here. So just in case you were wondering, on the Parc Ferme here, the top 3 cars park here. All of the other cars, they all drive straight back to their garages here at Oulton Park behind the scenes. And there's a lot of scrutineering that goes on. They will get the cars looked at. They'll check the fuel, make sure they're running the right fuel, make sure the tyres are okay and they're not breaking any rules in terms of the modifications they can make to the cars in terms of the setups. We'll just get out of the way of the car so I don't get run over on the live stream. So yeah, they will go there, and obviously the cars will then go back to the garages and they'll be working on those cars until the next races take place, which is obviously coming up later this afternoon. We do have the GB4 race coming up very, very soon as well, which is the 3rd and final GB4 race of the weekend. It's the 6th race of the championship. The reverse grid for that, Logan Hanna will be starting on pole. She was the driver to have to finish in the qualifying at 103% behind Alex Walker's time. A couple of the drivers from the Graham Brunton racing team didn't quite make it, so she will start on pole alongside Jessica Edgar on the front row of the grid, so an all-female front row for that final GB4 race, which is coming up very, very soon as well. We will head over to the podium in just a second and watch these guys getting their trophies and hopefully spraying some champagne. So far, we've only had Max Maserati spraying champagne so far. I don't think we quite caught it yesterday, but to let you into a little bit behind the scenes, he did then try and, I think, jump over the barrier and celebrate with his team, and he absolutely stacked it. And you know, you'd think Max Maserati, whose name we will get right eventually, you'd think that, you know, a very confident guy like that, he wouldn't want to see that again. He wouldn't want anyone to see that again. But you know what, he's asked me about 3 times for the footage already today, so he's obviously going to post it all over his social media. So if you don't see it on this live feed when we replay it, follow Max Maserati on social media and you'll probably see it. Now what we're doing now is we're actually just going to follow the cars. These cars are going back to the grid, as you'll see here, back to the garage, maybe via scrutineering to check the cars are all good. You see the drivers have all got their names on the back there, which makes it very easy if you're a fan watching from maybe a corner and they go around the corner and you see the name, you know which driver you're watching. The podium here at Alton Park is just around the corner actually from Parc Ferme, so we're just going to walk around here and see if we can see the drivers on the podium. Obviously a big crowd actually gathering here. You'll be able to see it in just a second as I walk around here. And obviously behind me all the trucks for all of the other races. We've got loads of different races here at the British GT weekend. Here we go. As much as you can see with all the teams as well, there are a lot of fans here as well, a lot of people who have been watching on the live stream. Obviously they're coming down, they've heard Lewis McGlade's commentary and they're like, I've got to meet Lewis McGlade. Well, I'm afraid Lewis McGlade is in a box in a car park somewhere commentating on this. I'm lucky enough to get into all the action here. What can we see? Are the drivers coming around? We've got the elusive Richard Randall from MSV who's just here. We're just going to walk in here. Hi Richard, how are you going?
Good, yeah, we're good to go.
There you go, Richard Randall from MSV there, the man behind the scenes. He should get more of a shout out than he actually gets, but there we go. So we can see the drivers are just getting ready here. All very impressed. Members of the public here. We're live at the moment, Carly. Yeah, how are you?
Fine.
This is Carly from behind the scenes at MSV as well. Carly doesn't like to be on camera as well as Richard. We could have a... Mark, you're the man behind the GT Cup. You're not going on the GB3 as much, but you must be impressed to see those races.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the championship, and whether it be in its BRDC Formula 4 format or BRDC Formula 3, and now GB3, this new generation of car, not only does it look the business, the extra downforce I think the drivers are loving. What I found amazing now is Luke Browning, 2 races in, 2 race wins, as I said on circuit commentary. No driver has won the first 2 rounds of this championship since NN Armaned did it in 2018. Wow. And he won the first 4, so it's a really special thing to win the first 2 rounds of this championship. And
a huge gap as well. He's not just winning, he's not fighting till the end. He's pulling out a lead and he's keeping it and extending it.
10 seconds yesterday, 8 seconds today, and most of that lead was, it was all done on the first lap. Hard work on the first lap. He clearly can work the tyres hard on the out lap, get them in the sweet spot, and when the lights go out, he's off. Now, he knows this track really well. It's his home track, and he's driven around here a lot more. Now, how much do you think that helps him in terms of, obviously the car's very good and he's a very, exceptional driver, but how much does that local knowledge help? Because as much as you can practice on sims, which a lot of these drivers have told me they're doing, there are going to be bumps, there are going to be little cambers and things that you don't get on the sim racing. Yeah, no, I think it's a very valid point. If this circuit is on your back doorstep and you've done more laps around here and you're familiar with every little tiny bump and aspect of the gradient, that's going to have a huge impact. But also, these drivers have done a lot of testing over the winter, and I think that's what puts him now in the sweet spot. I think we're going to do a podium now. I think we are going to do a podium, Mark. Thank you very much. We'll chat again, I'm sure. We're going to hand over now for the live podium with Lewis McLeod.
Wow, lovely to hear from not only the drivers, but of course the likes. We had a little bit of a word from Rich Randall there, of course, and Mark Werrell. Obviously great to hear from everyone. A lot of positive buzz around the paddock about not only the GB3 Championship, but of course GB4 as well, as we see them head on to the podium. Joel Granfors in 3rd position, a well-deserved 3rd place after yesterday having a 5-place grid penalty, or this time on Monday though, the first race of the day. He managed to do the work, dropped down from 2nd position, still managed to grab a podium. Roberto Ferreira up 1 more to finish 2nd once again. And Luke Browning, listen to those cheers. He's a very popular man around here, the local lad, on top again.
Yeah, well done to Luke Browning and obviously the whole podium. Joel will be disappointed to have not kept 2nd place, but we'll be happy with 3rd place. Obviously a podium is always good to see. Roberto Ferreira obviously doing very well to get 2nd place, and yeah, very strong podium.
I mean, I watched Luke Browning race years ago. So he used to do a fair amount of sim racing, which is my neck of the woods. And he was then racing in the Ginetta Junior Cup, and then eventually won in British Formula 4, and has been around all over the place. Honestly, a fantastic driver. Speaking of Junior Formula as well, we've got GB4 coming up next in a few moments' time. We'll take a step aside, and we will see you then.